Hello, and welcome to the first episode of my podcast, Laya on the Line. It's basically like lay on the line, like lay it all on the line, but Laya on the line. I don't know. I'm still trying to think through what sounds good, but that's what I have right now, Laya on the Line. And I'm Laya. I am a former Division I college basketball player. I played at Northwestern for 4 years. I'm originally from Okemos, Michigan, which is a part of Lansing, Michigan. My parents are both educators. They're both professors or teachers. They teach literacy. I've been around literacy my whole life. In college, I majored in communications and entrepreneurship, but I felt like I wanted to be more creative with my life. So I ended up trying to just change whatever I wanted to do, and I moved to New York City, and I went to NYU's documentary film program, which is in their journalism school. So it was here that I ended up doing a lot with journalism, and I was kind of introduced to what sports journalism in media even is. So that kind of has inspired me since. I graduated in June, so that's now 4 or 5 months away. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, but I realized that I want to work in sports, or try as best as possible to work in sports. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm also trying to play professional overseas, so right now I'm kind of just in a waiting game of, can I get a job? I'm applying to jobs. Can I play basketball? What can I do with my life? I don't even know. But I know what I can do. I have a camera, I have a mic, I have a light, I have a few lights, I have editing software, I have film skills, and I'm trying to work on my camera presence. So I have some of the required materials to make online content. I started posting on TikTok maybe a few months ago as well, in May, I think. I took a few breaks, but overall, I've enjoyed being in front of the camera a lot more than I thought I would. I originally intended to be behind the camera in production, and that's since kind of changed, where I'm like, you know what, maybe I could try and be in front of the camera. Let's see how this goes. So this is actually a pilot episode of my first podcast. I've never done this before, so this is like me seeing how it goes. I'm going to edit it to the best of my ability, but it's like a test run, okay? This is a test run. I'll still probably clip it on TikTok, depending on how I do. I hope I do well when I start talking about the contents of the podcast, but there's always a chance, okay? There's always a chance. So, people who make media, people who talk to the camera and share news, they're just chatting. And journalism, the news, the information that we get, it's just chatter, and anyone can chat, okay? So that's something that I realized, and it was kind of shocking to me because I had never worked in journalism, and I didn't understand how journalism worked. But yeah, I guess that kind of makes me compelled to tell you why you should listen to me and why the things that I have to say matter. And I'll just say that I will be talking mostly about women's basketball on this podcast, and I am a former player, so there's that credibility where I know what it's like to be on the playing side and then now on the media side. So yeah, I guess I need to think about why else you should listen to me. But that's the first reason you should listen to me, is because I know what I'm talking about, okay? So the WNBA viewership highlights. The WNBA's regular season and postseason were the league's most watched ever across ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. Postseason games averaged 1.2 million viewers each. That was up 5% over 2024, and the most watched WNBA postseason on ESPN networks to date. The 2025 finals averaged 1.449 million viewers. For context, the 2022 WNBA finals averaged just over 500,000 viewers. So it almost tripled in the span of 3 years, essentially, for the WNBA finals. I found some demographic information that I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know, I lived in New York, so I went to a lot of New York Liberty games, and the crowd there is like super diverse. It's like amazing. Like there's a lot of different types of people there. There's a lot of women that watch. There's a lot of families. It's just a great atmosphere to be in. So I wanted to kind of look into where the viewership was coming from, and with the new viewers, are they mostly men? Are they mostly women? Are they mostly white, black? So each game this year attracted an average of 540,000 female viewers, which is up 10% year over year and the highest number ever. And then it averaged 679,000 male viewers, which is up 2% and ESPN's highest ever. So there's more men than women, but it's a lot of women. Because I feel like especially a lot of women, I feel like, I don't have the numbers on this, but I feel like a lot of women don't watch the NBA, or like they're not fanatics of the NBA. So this is a pretty high number, I think, 540,000 female viewers. And yeah, the women's game is interesting to men and women, basketball fans, anyone. Female viewership between ages 35 to 54 was also up 8% year over year. So yeah, we're seeing that people in that age range, slightly older women, not necessarily like Gen Z, but I think that's, let's see, I'm Gen Z, so that would be, not the silent generation. You guys are millennials, and you're Gen X. Yeah, that's like pretty ancient. So like, the old guy, no, I'm just kidding. So according to the league, this season's WNBA fan base was 57% male, 43% female. So men have been making up more than half of the viewership actually for years. But before, they were mostly middle-aged men. Now, it's mostly 18 under. So that's also interesting, that things have kind of been shifting. The number of boys 18 and under who watch WNBA games have grown by 130% over the past 4 years. And yeah, Caitlin Clark's whole appearance has also coincided with a 34% increase in boys watching the games, says the league. There's also been significant growth in black viewership, up 67% year over year. So a lot of female viewership, a lot of young male viewership, and an increase in black viewership. It's pretty interesting. I mean, just to think about the commentary and who's kind of being attracted to women's basketball. It's interesting to look at those demographics. So now we're going to get into some real stuff here. So the CBA, the WNBA, there's been a lot of buzz about this recently, and I think what I kind of want to do is, I've been seeing a lot of misinformation out there and people giving crazy takes about this, and I want to kind of clear up what these things are. What is the CBA? Who is negotiating it? What players are involved? How are they involved? And what are the potential options that could happen? I've seen a lot of misinformation about this and just crazy takes that, we just need to clear that up. So a couple terms, first of all, to know. I'm going to kind of break this down like I would to a student in a class, like just because it's hard for me even to understand. So just some terms to clarify. So the WNBA, we know, is the league. The commissioner, you could think of the commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, like the principal. She's not specifically like any player's boss, but she kind of runs the whole show. So she's like the CEO of the WNBA as a whole. She's elected in by team owners, and she handles business, makes league rules, oversees marketing schedules and partnerships. So she does a lot on the business side. And she works for the team owners. So every team has an owner, and that owner is her boss technically, because they hire her through a process called the league's board of governors. Cathy has the authority to fine or discipline players or teams if they break league rules. like missing media, fighting, uniform issues, etc. And as I said, these teams are owned by separate owners, and they negotiate with the commissioner, with Cathy, to get things done. So that's the league side. The other side is the player side. So there's the WNBA, there's the WNBA players, and then there's something called the WNBA-PA, which is the players' union. So every player in the WNBA by default is a part of the players' union. But there is a council of members, which I think there's like 5-ish people that are involved, which meet with the league, and the league is considered the commissioner and the team owners to discuss things that they want to get done in a contract in the WNBA. This contract is called the CBA. So the CBA is a contract between the players and the league, saying these are things that we want to be provided, rights that we believe should be in place, etc. And there's a discussion, and they're supposed to come to a mutual agreement on the contract. So the WNBA-PA, this union, is run by the players themselves. The president is Nneka Bumake. The first vice president is Kelsey Plum, and then 3 other vice presidents are Alicia Clark, Nafisa Collier, and Brianna Stewart. So they all have a say as being a part of this council as to what this next CBA is going to look like when they're discussing it with the league, with the commissioner and the team owners. So that's what the CBA is. It's a big rule book that the players and the league owner and the league agree on together. It says things like how much the players are going to get paid, how long the season is, what travel is like, and what benefits the players get. Just think of it like a contract. Generally, these are renewed every 6 to 8 years. But there is a caveat to this, which is relevant right now. The players or the league can either opt out of the CBA contract. And there's various reasons that you can opt out, but it's usually with a dissatisfaction with something that is laid out in the CBA. This happened, so basically the league's current CBA is set to expire October 31st. This original CBA, this one that's in place right now, was set in 2020, and it was originally meant to run through 2027. Obviously, right now, it is not 2027, so last year, in October 2024, the WNBA-PA exercised their right to opt out of that agreement early because they were dissatisfied with a few of the pieces of the CBA. So because of that, the new CBA now expires October 31st, so we're creeping up on that date. I think a helpful way to think of how the WNBA and the WNBA-PA is approaching these CBA contracts is like stepping stones. So instead of the new contract being like a solution, like, oh, we have this list of things and they all need to get done. No, they're like, okay, we're gonna give 15 things that we would like to change, and maybe 2 of them will happen. But if 2 of them happen every time, then in so many years we'll be so far ahead. So they think of them like a catalyst to the next one. And Sue Bird mentioned in a podcast that when the 2020 CBA came through, that she looked at it and saw things immediately that she didn't agree with or that she knew needed to be changed. So it's not like it's going to be perfect, but the goal for them is to make everyone better so that they can eventually get to a place where they're overall satisfied with the agreement. So both sides, both the WNBA-PA and the league, negotiate in creating the CBA, but who really has the power? It's shared, but I think it's not always equal. Like the league and the team have more power because they have more money and they have more control over like the business side of it and the decisions. So that's kind of a disadvantage that the players have, but the players do have power in numbers. So if they all stand together against something, they can fight for better deals, like they did in 2020 when they got higher pay and higher travel, but it could also backfire. And that's the real hot button topic right now, is to what extent can things backfire, and what will the people who are on the council push for, and how far will they push before something breaks, or will any deal be made? Adam Silver is the owner of the NBA. He's the commissioner, so same position. Think of it like the CEO, principal. He is, by default, the boss of Cathy because the NBA owns the WNBA. So Adam Silver came out with a quote in response to Nafisa Collier's statement. If you don't know what Nafisa Collier said, you should probably just look that up really quick, but he quotes, "The WNBA is experiencing some growth pains. At the same time, Cathy Engelbert has presided over 6 years of some of the strongest growth we've not only seen in the WNBA, but any sports league in history. But it's become too personal, and we're going to have to work through those issues." So he thinks it's personal. Nneka Abumike, the president of the Players Union, thinks that it's not personal, it's just business. And she's been outspoken in her support for Nafisa Collier and their opposition of Cathy Engelbert and her lack of leadership and relational abilities as the WNBA commissioner. The only thing that hasn't grown since the growth of the WNBA recently, but also since its creation, has been player salaries. Players are essentially just asking for compensation, their own compensation, to grow along with the business as it's growing, as you would expect anyone to. As the business grows, the employees should also benefit from that. In every CBA before this current one, every salary and salary cap has been a set number. So it has nothing to do with revenue share. It's been this 100,000, I'm just making this up, but that's the set number. It has nothing to do with the success of the league. But now people want more skin in the game, and they want them to become percentages, and for the percentages to grow as the league grows. Exactly what you would expect normal employees, people to want. I'm sure you would want the same. So what could be in the new CBA, and how could the CBA help to solve this? So other than player salaries, there are a few other things that players are wanting to see in the new CBA. They're looking for a standardization of facilities. So I think most of the WNBA teams by now have their own practice facilities, but not all of them do. And you're at an extreme disadvantage if you don't have your own practice facility. So they want to standardize this process, essentially. They also want to standardize retirement plans for players. Those are just a few things, but I'm sure there's many things that they'll discuss, and we'll see when the agreement comes out what happens. So there's been a lot of discourse online on whether Unrivaled and Nafisa Collier being on the council to represent the players in the CBA negotiation is bad for the WNBA's success. So first, I'm just going to show what Nafisa Collier even said.
We created Unrivaled to benefit the WNBA player. We're just trying to get people more money. Like, we're trying to get players paid. And exactly what you said, the WNBA's success is Unrivaled's success. We are going after the top players in the world. Obviously, they all play in the WNBA. So them getting more recognition, getting the WNBA growing only helps Unrivaled, and vice versa. You know, it's hard when this has been the narrative for a long time. The WNBA goes dark after 6 months. You don't see those players again until the next year. We're keeping players relevant. We're helping to grow the WNBA as well. So I really think we're such, together, we really help each other. So I don't really understand that narrative either, but...
So Unrivaled was created with one goal in mind: to pay players more money and to keep them relevant in the off-season of the WNBA. Unrivaled now has a $340 million valuation. They just did a whole new round of investments, so to a certain extent, yes, they have a lot of stake in the game. They have to stand behind what they created, and I don't imagine that they would do any different. These are players that are extremely intelligent and are very pro women's basketball as a whole. And I think that idea gets lost in a lot of people's heads, like forgetting that they play in the WNBA. Like, why would they want to sacrifice the WNBA? They're actively playing in it. I think a lot of people question that, but it shouldn't be questioned. We also know that the WNBA refused to own a share in Unrivaled because it would look weak on the league. They would look like wimps. That's just my opinion. I sensed tension. Why would they want to have a market share in Unrivaled? It created a weird dynamic, I think. And the way that I see this is that players are standing up for things that they believe in, things that they personally experience on a day-to-day basis playing in the WNBA, and they want to change. No player has ever said, abolish the WNBA. I don't think there's any reason to think that Nafisa Collier, Nneka Abumike, and the rest of the council or the league would have any interest in mind but the advancement and the success of the WNBA. And I do think that not thinking this way, thinking in opposition to this idea that they don't have the WNBA's best interest in mind, is quite honestly a bit offensive, and it just undermines what these women have been publicly speaking about for decades, like demanding respect and profit and equal revenue share and all of these different hot button topics that we talk about. Like, it's just baffling to think that they would want to undermine the WNBA for their own personal pockets in Unrivaled. Like, that is crazy for me to think about that. That's seriously like what some people think. And Unrivaled was a league that was started in the off season of the WNBA. It is not in competing seasons. They wanted more money for the WNBA. They wanted the WNBA to look in a mirror and say, hey, this is another way to run a league. It's 3-on-3. We're not playing the same game here, but look at how this league functions. And it could potentially be a blueprint of sorts, not an exact blueprint, but a version of a blueprint where the WNBA could say, hey, that worked really well. Like, maybe we can implement some of those things. And who better for it to come from than the players themselves, who are personally affected by these decisions. And yeah, I think, as you said, success in Unrivaled is WNBA success, and success in the WNBA is Unrivaled success. I think 40 players from the WNBA are playing in Unrivaled out of 140? There's a lot of players, and these are most of the top players that are choosing to play in it. And I don't think that would happen if they didn't have belief in Nafisa Collier, in just the overall structure of the league. And I think Nafisa Collier, her intentions are clear. She wants both to succeed. One affects the other. And yeah, we'll see what happens on or before October 31st. But some people talk crazy. And I just got to say, I disagree. So Nafisa Collier obviously does ride hard for Unrivaled. Why does she ride so hard for Unrivaled? Because of what Unrivaled stands for. It stands for leadership, respect, revenue share payout to players, and relevancy. And these are kind of things that they've been outspoken about in terms of what WNBA leadership is missing right now. So yes, the Unrivaled is a representation of what they envision for the future. And I don't think that having pride in that means destroy the WNBA, or that they won't push in that meeting, that they won't push for things, but understand that there's going to be some pushback. Like, of course there's going to be pushback. I do believe that there is a world in which Unrivaled and the WNBA are both successful. I don't think this is wishful thinking. I think that the people that are a part of these conversations are very intellectual human beings that are very versed on both the athletic side and the business side. And I don't think that they would unnecessarily push for a lockout or do something to harm the WNBA. I think that that would actually be against their best interest. Not everyone just wants to stuff their pockets. Like, Wall Street, sure. But we're talking about like a whole different landscape here, okay? I just don't, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. So is the goal to have no need for an Unrivaled, and players just make all the money in the WNBA and you don't have to play anywhere else? Well, I think first of all, top players in the league wouldn't play in Unrivaled if they didn't want to. I mean, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark aren't playing in it this year. They obviously don't need to for money because they probably make some of the most money in the league, especially Caitlin Clark. But I do think for the time being, with the situation that's currently being presented, yes, that is necessary to either go overseas or play in a league like Unrivaled if you are fortunate to be able to do that. And if not, then yeah, players are still going overseas actively all the time. It's happening currently as we speak. WNBA players are going overseas. And so I think it would be wishful thinking, but I just don't think that conversation about abolishing Unrivaled to push the WNBA to new heights is productive right now, because the WNBA is not where it wants to be right now. The players are obviously not satisfied with where the league is right now from a business and leadership standpoint. I think it would be years down the road. I think that Unrivaled is undoubtedly helping the WNBA and pushing it, holding a mirror up to its face, essentially. And those growing pains, as Adam Silver expressed in his quote, are somewhat necessary for change to happen. And I don't think it's personal. I think, again, these are business people who are making decisions on players' behalf, and we should hold them to the same standard that we hold the refs to, that a lot of people hold players to, and think that players should be God some nights and whatnot. But yeah, we are going to move on to some college basketball talk. So I'm going to scroll through the 2026 mock draft predictions and kind of just give my opinion. Number 1 projected draft pick, 2026 WNBA, Lauren Betts, UCLA to Dallas. Number 2, from Spain, Awa Pham to the Minnesota Lynx. She's a 6'5", incredibly athletic, ability paired with size, mobility, 19 years old. Kind of actually just reading her bio reminds me of Dominique Malonga. Hopefully she can dunk as well. 3, Olivia Miles to the Seattle Storm. She currently plays for TCU. And 4, we've got AZ Fudd, UConn to the Washington Mystics. 5, we've got Flau'jae Johnson, LSU to the Chicago Sky. And then 6, Tanaya Latson of South Carolina to the Toronto Tempo, which will be a new team, so that's kind of exciting. And then 6, we've got, I'm going to butcher her last name, Gianna Nepekins, UCLA to the Portland Fire. Also a new team, right? 8, Kiki Rice, UCLA, Golden State Valkyries. We've got 2 UCLA people up here. 9, Sarah Williams, UConn, Washington Mystics. And then 10, guard Yarden Garzon at Maryland to the Indiana Fever. So those are top 10. The list goes to 15. I'm going to say, okay, my opinion, AZ Fudd, to me, her three-point ability, I think is just insane. Like, her release, it's like you don't even see her moving the ball up. I would honestly put AZ Fudd before Olivia Miles. Olivia Miles is currently at 3. So I would switch them. I haven't seen this Awa Pham from Spain play, this 6'7", athletic 19-year-old. But, I mean, she sounds insane. So I would keep her maybe top 7, but I just haven't seen her play. I'd say Lauren Betts, 6'7", absolute beast in the paint. She could go 1. I'd put AZ Fudd maybe at 2. Flau'jae Johnson and Olivia Miles, I think, could maybe swap for 3 and 4. And the rest of these players, to be honest, Kiki Rice, she's really good. I would maybe, her and Lauren Betts, I feel like at UCLA this year are going to be insane. So that could help Kiki Rice's draft prediction. So I would maybe move her up as well, especially if they have a good season. So yeah, she could go 5 maybe. Yeah, something like that. We'll see. I don't know. The last thing to discuss today is Natasha Cloud, because she is a very outspoken WNBA player. She's very involved in activism. She plays for the New York Liberty, so she's recently been very outspoken about their potential mayor, Zoran, who's up against Como and has a lot of youth vote. He's extremely liberal, very progressive, cool dude. Talks about going to the bodegas in New York all the time, the corner stores, all of that. So he's a really cool dude. And she's been extremely outspoken about this. She attended a rally that they had and just endorsed him and gave her support. She's very outspoken on Twitter as well. This is a tweet that she recently said, to every athlete who has yet to utilize their platform, this is not about politics, this is about humanity. We have always been more than just athletes, and sports have always united communities and been heavily intertwined in advocating for the masses without a voice. I understand the fear, the hesitation, providing for our families, and I understand the privilege we have to think this isn't our fight. But we are not immune to what's coming. Those jerseys come off, and most of our families, if not yet, will be, or affected will be. This has guts to say, I don't care. I don't think a lot of athletes in general are speaking out about very political issues, and I wish that there was more of a culture for them to be able to do that. Natasha Cloud said that she's lost a lot of sponsorship deals and lost a lot of money, to be quite honest, because of her activism and because of how outspoken she is about things that she cares about. And I guess it kind of just made me think about the whole LeBron James shut up and dribble, and how that's still just such a big issue in sports today, with not allowing athletes to fully express themselves. We saw it in full effect with Angel Reese modeling in the Victoria's Secret fashion show, doing something that she's very passionate about, doing something that she loves, and just being absolutely teared down, mocked, everything. And I just couldn't imagine, hating on someone so much for doing something that they're passionate about. And a lot of the hate comes towards black players, especially in the WNBA, who kind of don't confine themselves to certain boxes and speak their mind, express themselves how they want to, and do things that they're passionate about outside of basketball. And whether people agree with the things that these people are doing or saying or not, you should never shame someone for doing something that they love and that they care about that's ultimately making them happy. So yeah, it's just crazy to me. We gotta, people have to be stopped. But yeah, I just finished all my notes for the day. This is, as I said, the first episode. This is the pilot episode. I might even reshoot this. I'm not sure if I'm going to air this one right now. But yeah, I guess maybe comment stuff that you... I can find very relevant things to talk about, but I guess what was the most interesting to you in this episode? And I guess, like, what types of things are you, like, interested in hearing about? So if you're more interested in, like, when I broke down what's happening in the WNBA, or me giving my opinion, or talking about people like Natasha or Angel Reese, or talking about stuff like that, I want to kind of mix it up. I think right now what's trending a lot is like this whole CBA negotiation talk. So I kind of want to stay somewhat in line with what's trending online, but also not completely just talk about stuff that's trending. I definitely want to kind of create my own niche and talk about things that I find important, regardless of what's trending, and stuff that I think will be compelling for people to hear my opinion on, and just news-ish stuff in general. So yeah, if you made it to the end, thank you for watching.